So tonight we are really pleased to be able to offer a live demonstration of Theater of the Oppressed. And this particular demonstration is going to be jokered by Akila Khanna, but it's going to be introduced. Yes, we can give Akila rather thought. And much more applause to come at the end for Akila and for the entire ensemble. It's going to be introduced by a very special person, Liz Morgan, who's the Director of Training and Pedagogy for Theater of the Oppressed NYC. Liz.
Hello and good evening. My name is Liz Morgan. I use she, her pronouns. For accessibility, I am a Black woman with short, natural, dark brown hair. I'm wearing glasses with big white frames and a sort of monochromatic mustard-colored outfit. Professionally, I am also a facilitator, or what we call a joker, at Theater of the Oppressed NYC, which is a nonprofit organization that partners with social service organizations and agencies all over the city to create forum theater projects focused on various social justice issues. I am also the daughter of 2 clinicians, so I'm excited to be here with you all, very much so, introducing the potential of Theater of the Oppressed within healthcare and therapeutic practice. Augusto Boal, creator of Theater of the Oppressed, or TO, was an activist theater maker in Brazil. Before developing TO, Boal and his troupe of actors wrote and performed a political play about Brazilian farm workers whose land had been stolen by the dictatorship. In the play, the farmers revolted, and the final line was, "We have to spill our blood to save our land." This resonated with the real farm workers in the audience. However, when one farmer invited the actors to join a real attack against the landowner, the troupe refused, citing their role as actors. The audience became enraged, realizing that Boal and the others wouldn't risk their real lives as they had in the play. This incident highlighted the divide between the actor's portrayal and the farm workers' reality. The farm workers demanded that Boal and the actors leave immediately. As drama therapists, facilitators, and clinicians working with communities in acute stress, perhaps we face a similar dilemma. What is the most ethical way in which to serve clients when we may not share their lived experiences of oppression? How can we encourage our participants to become advocates in their own lives if we have not done the same for ourselves? These kinds of questions inspired Boal's development of Theater of the Oppressed in the 60s and 70s as a codified methodology rooted in the necessity of those impacted by the problems to determine what the problems are, as well as to brainstorm contextually suitable actions to confront those problems. Theater of the Oppressed has now spread to over 70 countries globally, and educators, activists, therapists, and social workers have adapted Boal's methods across diverse communities. At TO-NYC, we position ourselves as co-conspirators by building TO troops with marginalized New Yorkers and connecting them to active movements and community organizers in the city. Tonight, we will explore how drama therapists might similarly use the Theater of the Oppressed model to build solidarities in healthcare systems to realize greater equity and justice in our lives and those we serve. Boal's theory and practice of rehearsing for the revolution through action and reflection urges individuals and communities to overcome complacency and become aware of possible alternatives and already existing capacities to respond to challenges. TO can thus help clinicians re-examine definitions of illness and health and constantly question whose interests we serve in our daily encounters with colleagues, clients, doctors, insurance companies, social services, and other government agencies. Boal's methods provide a means to stage and interrupt these minute everyday interactions, which together can create a more equitable culture of care, where we examine the celebrations and abuses of power and its spaces of hope and transformation. The demonstration you will see tonight will focus on one of Boal's earliest and most popular techniques known as forum theater. Forum theater relies upon presentations of short scenes that represent a situation in which a person or community is being exploited or blocked from their human need. The 10 to 30-minute scene usually contains an identifiable protagonist and an antagonist, or a series of passive oppressors and potential allies who have not yet been activated to use their privilege. The play is performed once through, and then a second time with the direction that the audience members step into the play, specifically the shoes of the protagonist, and improvise possible ways to address the problem. This is a key concept in forum theater by which audiences transcend their position as spectators and become spect-actors. The actors, in return, respond to these interventions with their own improvised reactions meant to simulate the reality of the oppressors and the systems that influence them. This performance gives all who watch and participate new information about how to navigate these institutions, and this experience is guided by someone called a joker. The concept of jokering is crucial. While this practice is likened to facilitating, Boal called it difficultating. Facilitation makes things easy, more facile. Difficultation presents challenges for groups to overcome. A skilled joker, like a drama therapist, balances both roles, nurturing and challenging, acting and being acted upon. We're not neutral. We carry biases and moral beliefs while meeting our clients' needs. Just as a joker in Theater of the Oppressed employs various methods to combat oppression, drama therapists must adeptly shift between roles as facilitator, director, actor, and observer, sometimes playing all at once. Perhaps jokering in forum theater can serve as an effective training ground for drama therapists. The benefits of this work are many. Boal distinguished his work as therapeutic rather than therapy. Yet some TO practitioners now frame it as political therapy. Methods like forum theater are strength-based, empowering those directly affected by centering their voices and experience and expertise. Scenes evoke empathy, not just rational understanding, fostering personal catharsis as individuals rewrite oppressive narratives. Simultaneously, the creation and performance of forum theater forges connections among participants and activists, cultivating social support and creating a rehearsal ground for them to exercise and build their muscle memory of taking action towards liberation. Let's see this play out. Please welcome the cast of our forum theater performance tonight.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, good evening. My name is Akhila Khanna. I go by she, her pronouns. I am a cisgendered, able-bodied Indian woman. For the purposes of accessibility, I'm wearing a black shirt, black pants, and I'm wearing silver earrings.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Paul. My pronouns are he, him. For accessibility purposes, I'm wearing a black top, black pants, and when I put on this white jacket, I will be playing the role of Dr. D, a 15-year-old veteran at Peak Health Hospital. 15 plus years at, but 15 plus years at Peak Health Hospital.
Hello, I'm Ofer Shamir, he, him pronouns. I am a cisgendered, queer male, white, Ashkenazi Jewish, originally from Israel, with an invisible disability. And today, when I wear this name tag, I will be Matt, who is a licensed creative arts therapist and supervisor at Peak Health Hospital.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a Filipino-American able-bodied woman. My dark brown hair is pulled into a ponytail, and I'm wearing an oversized black shirt and black boots. And when I wear this name tag, I am Alex, an LCAT 2 months into her job at Peak Health Hospital.
Hi, my name is Taylor Beckman. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white, Jewish, cisgender female. When I wear this cardigan, I will be playing the role of social worker Ramon at Peak Health Hospital. When I wear this scarf, I am the assistant to the head of wellness, Mary Kate. And when I wear this beret, I am the social work intern at Peak Health Hospital. and I'm wearing a black shirt and black pants.
Hi there, I'm Sabrina Dahlman. My pronouns are she, her, hers. So I am a cis white woman. I am wearing all black. I have a nose piercing. When I'm wearing this cardigan, I am playing head nurse Mickey. And when I'm wearing this scarf, I am playing the head of the wellness team, Ashley.
And we also have another cast member who's not here with us. Tishawn Powell has been crucial in our script writing process. And today, Ofer Shamir has graciously stepped into role. So this is to all of you and Tishawn. So, as Liz mentioned, all of us are going to see a 20-minute neat piece of theater. But after the first 20 minutes, after you see the show once, the stage is going to get a little bit messy. It's going to look like a sports arena, all right? Where you're all going to come on stage, you're going to replace the protagonist and try different ways of changing the outcome of what's going to happen in the scene, right? In order to get us all warmed up, like athletes have to warm up, we're going to warm up together, okay? Like this includes you guys, right? And the whole purpose of a game, of like a TO game, is to put the spectators in a place of good confusion. And that's to allow you to look at the scene in new ways, to come up with different angles of trying to intervene when it comes to the point. Yeah? So are you ready? Okay, so we're going to begin, really simple, okay? This is a game I learned at a dance company called Step Africa in Washington, D.C., and it's a game I play a lot with my Theatre of the Oppressed friends back in Delhi, so shout out to all of you guys. And if you're watching this on camera, you can do it too, all right? It's really simple. When I say all right, you say okay. All right?
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
When I say okay, you say, all right, okay?
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, okay, okay.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh, all right.
Oh, okay.
All right, okay, okay.
Okay, okay, all right.
Let's pick up the pace a little bit, yeah? Place of good confusion. All right, okay, okay.
Okay, okay, all right.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
All right, okay, all right.
All right, okay, all right, okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, okay, all right, all right.
Okay, all right.
All right, okay, okay.
All right.
All right, okay, all right, okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, okay, we warmed up.
Yeah.
Actors ready?
Yeah.
Okay, spectators ready? Yeah. Okay, we're going to warm up all the actors together, right? With a 3, 2, 1, action!
Next patient is Galoom Fateh. She's isolated in her room, focused on discharge. When she leaves her room, she's unpredictable and dangerous. It was given Haldol PRN yesterday for agitation. No issues. Next, we have James Simmons, paranoid, talking to himself, all sorts of crazy things, refusing meds, keeps asking to get some fresh air. We know how he's been. So these are our patients. We have
Code Orange, 4th floor, west.
That's not us, right?
It's 4 West. Hold on, let me quiet them down. We're in the middle of a meeting. Hey guys, be quiet. We're in the middle of a meeting. You're being very loud. Can you see? We're in the middle of a meeting. God.
Mickey, hello? Let's go. Let's go.
I'm sorry, I just want to know who was before James?
Galoom Fateh, the Bangladesh woman, the one who wears the towel on her head.
You mean her hijab?
Yeah, that one. I don't know what to do with her. Ramon?
Mm-hmm.
Guys. Should we submit for an ACT team? This is our 3rd admission in 3 months with no improvement.
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
All right, great. So quiet. Mickey?
Oh, yeah, we're still in a meeting. We're in a meeting, guys. Sorry, you were being very loud over there. I'm kind of calming you down over here. Okay, let's see. Mr. Simmons, he's not really taking his medication. I think we should do treatment over objection. Have you started the paperwork on that?
Yeah, I'll get it done by the end of the day today.
Okay.
What's next? Off unit?
Everyone's clear for me. No one had any codes.
No, Mr. Simmons is not clear for off unit. He's still not taking his medication.
No, I'm sorry. The policy is if they haven't had a code in the past 24 hours or a clinician is feeling uncomfortable taking them. So Mr. Simmons is neither of those.
Mr. Simmons is not clear for off unit. All right? That's it, right?
Okay, sorry, I had a request.
Sure.
It's really hard to connect with each other on WebEx, and I'm wondering if we could switch this meeting to in person.
It sounds like you're having connection issues, which sounds like an IT issue. So call the help desk. All right, everybody, have a good day. If there's any questions, come see me in my office, all right? Thank you.
Morning, Dr. D.
Yeah.
Morning, good morning. Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Oh, hey, Matt, fell asleep during morning meeting again, huh?
It's not worth my time. They don't listen to me, and they never have.
Yeah, about that. I know that I've only been here for 2 months, but I'm feeling really disconnected from the team, and I think it's because we're always meeting on WebEx.
Didn't I send you that list with everyone's names and emails on your first day?
Yeah, you did, but it's more than that. I want to feel more connected to the team.
Okay. It gets a bit lonely here. Yes, I admit that. I've been the only LCAT here for a while before you arrived, and I'm very grateful that you're here, but not everybody's like us.
What do you mean?
Every department works a bit differently, and we don't really interact with each other. You'll get used to it the longer you're here.
That's awful.
Ay. That is awful.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it.
Oh.
Now, yeah, okay. I fucked up there.
Yeah.
Could you please, clean the table, get the cards off? I always forget the new regulations.
Yeah, how are we supposed to connect to our patients when we are barely connecting with each other? And I think having an in-person meeting would really help us to do that.
In-person meetings.
Help me organize an in-person meeting?
Well, in-person meetings we used to have before COVID. It was really nice seeing everyone's faces in the morning. But since we went online, I really love that extra hour of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can talk to everyone. Maybe start with Dr. D. He's the head boss.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, patients are coming in. We need to start group. Okay, everyone. This is Creative Arts Therapy group time. Come. We're starting. Okay, thank you.
Hi, are you coming to group today?
Yeah, I'll see you later for group. Okay, it's just in a couple hours, yeah? Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, okay, I gotta go. Okay, bye.
Hi, Dr. D.
Is something wrong?
No.
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 Okay.
You just had said if anybody had any questions on the meeting to come to your office, and so I'm...
Yeah, sure, come on in. Yeah. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Alex.
Oh, right.
LCAT.
The LCAT, you do the activities on the unit with Matt.
Well...
Yes, yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat.
Okay, sure.
What can I help you with?
Yeah, I guess I'm just feeling a little bit disconnected. It's really challenging to have the meetings on WebEx, and I know that's the norm, but I'm just wondering about the idea of maybe switching them to in-person.
I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. Adjusting to here can be challenging. I'm curious, I don't think that moving it to in-person would be very good. It's more beneficial when we're here. I can look at the chart, I can look at Epic, and it's a little easier that way.
Yeah, I understand that it's easier, but it really keeps all of us separate. And I feel like if we had more connection or more support between each other, it would really help us when things get really tough out in the unit. And I guess I'm just trying to say that I feel pretty alone.
Take a seat. Alex, I've been doing this job for 15 years, all right? You don't know tough, okay? When it matters, the team comes together and pulls together. Sorry to hear that you're struggling, but the place to connect and bond isn't morning meeting. Our job is to come to work, put our head down, and do the work, and go home. Okay?
Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's one of the only times where we're all together, and those moments are few, and if we could just switch it to in-person, maybe just like every other week, it would really help us to feel more like a team, and I just don't want to burn out like 3 months into this job. I just got here, and...
Alex, it sounds like you're struggling with a lot of stuff personally. All right, and personally, that sounds like something for the staff wellness team. They organize a lot of stuff around burnout. I know you just mentioned burnout, so I would go see them. They seem like the people to really connect to. For now, though, we're going to keep the morning meetings on WebEx. Thank you for your input, though. I really appreciate that. We'll see you at Morning Meeting Alley.
Oh, your discharge papers, they're coming. I'm just going to talk to the doctor, and we'll get that in the chart as soon as possible. And are you coming to group later on? Yeah, you are? Okay, can't wait to see you there. Just in an hour. I'll see you. Is this the wellness room?
Oh, totally is. Come on in. We're just setting up our Zen room for our wellness week.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I'm Alex. I'm an LCAT on 12F. I sent an email about meeting.
Oh, yeah, Alex, I remember, yeah. I just want to let you know that we so appreciate all of the activities that you set up for the unit. And also, if you ever need this space, you are always welcome here.
Yeah, our job is quite challenging, and
I'm
just feeling really disconnected from the team.
Really disconnected? No.
Oh, no,
Sit, please, come. Come on.
I know being a new employee can be very hard.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we know more than anyone how hard it can be and how much self-care it's going to take for you to stay here. And we understand that all those acute cases that you have every single day are probably so difficult.
Right, and I feel like a sense of community could help me to feel less alone and tired.
Community. Yeah, you know what you're saying is actually a very real problem that we're coming across. You know, we're seeing this happen over and over and over again. It's not just you, over and over again. This is a problem with our retention rate. People come here and they get exhausted and then they end up having to leave for whatever reason it is, which leads me to our wellness menu that we just created. Mary Kate, take it away.
Like, thank you, Ashley. Yes. So this is our Zen room, and this is a place that you can book out for 20 minutes on a Friday when you just really need to take some self-care for yourself, but really send me a message in Epic because we can only really have 20 minutes per person. And then we can also do meditation, mindfulness walks on Mondays to really get you in the mood of getting into your work. We're going to have candles. And
I'm sorry. All I'm looking for is something to help my unit feel more like a team.
Ooh, like a team. You know, that's not a bad initiative. Mary Kate, put that on the event calendar.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you will help me organize this?
Yeah, we'll put it on the event calendar.
Right.
No, I really think that's not the right thing for us to do on that thing. Oh, thank
you.
Yeah.
Dr. D, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for
I'm just
coming.
Gonna take this back. I've got to go to. Thank you.
No, okay, enjoy.
Ooh, pizza. Is any of this gluten-free?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Who are you?
I'm the social work intern on 4 West.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for the pizza.
No, it's not my birthday.
Oh. Thank you.
Hey, Alex.
Oh, hi, Matt. Hi, thank you for coming. Did you see anyone else from our team coming?
No, I didn't. You sent that email, but you know nobody reads those emails if they're not urgent. You know what you can do? Why don't you put this in the fridge and then people will take whenever?
That's not really what I wanted.
What the hell is all of this? Is there pizza in here right now? Are you kidding me? Right in front of all of the patients. Can you smell this pizza?
I'm sorry.
Can
I'm
you
sorry.
smell
I didn't.
this?
I didn't.
This is so inconsiderate. Pack it up.
No, I'm sorry.
What the hell are you? Who told
was
you you
just
can
trying
do
to-
that? Oh my gosh! Like, who are you? I don't care. I don't care. I really don't care about her.
Alex, if nobody else is taking, can I take this home? Thank you.
Wait, can I just... Sorry, one slice.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, actors. All right. So what did we see? What was Alex's problem in the scene that you just saw? I want you to turn to a partner next to you, and I want you to just articulate what was Alex's dilemma in this scene. What was she up against? There's a few minutes.
Yeah. What was she up against?
Okay, so hearing some murmurs. I'm seeing body actions also, which is always a great moment. I'd love for just some folks to say out loud what were some of the answers discussed. Let's try to put words to what we saw. Yeah. Anybody?
Some denial on the parts of people who've been there for longer. Like maybe they felt the same way when they started, but there was some denial on some level of what Alex was experiencing, which was the disconnection.
So there was a denial on the part of some of the colleagues of what Alex might have been experiencing. Okay, yeah. Others?
There was very little what she really wanted was to have more of a sense of communication and even information about patients, and probably also better ways of going about treating the patient other than just the medication, which is the usual. Yeah.
Yeah. And where did you notice that? So that lack of communication, where did you notice that exactly?
When she would go to all of these different people. She went to all these different people, and they just decided to interpret her simple request as personal issue, personal issue. So every time she went to talk to them, to the doctor, to the other LCAT,
Right. So not only was there a lack of communication about the patient, but also a lack of communication about what I am going through personally, which you're taking as a personal issue. Yeah? Yeah. Others?
I saw exhausting every outlet that is set up in the system to try to make change, and then Alex, the LCAT, attempting then to continue to do it herself by organizing an event that ended up not coming to fruition in a communal and supportive way.
Yeah, so kind of this exhaustive cycle, almost a rat race of sorts that she's running, by herself.
I think I took notice of who was on the stage, and the focus wasn't on the patients, which is who we focus on every day, but you can't do that without feeling connected to your team. So I was focusing on who was on the stage and what the focus there was. So.
Right, so the people we want to care for are getting ignored because we ourselves are not feeling like we're on the same page. How many of us, by a show of hands here, resonate with at least one of the problems that was identified here? Whether the burnout, the exhaustion, yeah, okay, great. Same. If you could do something different if you were in Alex's role, right, in this situation? What could you have said or done differently that may change the outcome of what happened, right? Yes. And would love to know your name and your pronouns as well.
I'm Maria. I use she, her pronouns.
Maria.
Hi. With the conversation with the doctor,
Would love to have you come on stage and try that. So come on stage. So we could go to that Dr. D scene, and you are, Maria, you'll be now in the role of Alex.
now,
Give it up for Maria. Yes. And actors, you feel ready? Yeah? All right. Audience, 3, 2, 1, action. All right? 3, 2, 1, action.
Oh my God. Hi.
hi, Dr. D.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, I'm
Is something wrong?
No.
Okay, great. I'm just
We
gonna.
had made an appointment
Oh,
for just 5 minutes.
sure. Take a seat.
I'm new here. And
If you don't mind, I'm gonna eat my lunch here. Okay, great. Thank
been
you.
here for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, what was an important moment to you here as a doctor on this unit? Like, when did you start to feel really effective as a doctor? Could I have a pistachio?
Sure.
I'm trying to find a way to. I'm trying to figure out how to feel effective, and I was just curious about your experiences here. Like, what were the moments that changed you, or where you felt like you were?
Yeah, I'm really kind of struggling with your question and how that matches the actual delivery of care. I come and I do my job. I take care of the patients in the way that I can, and I give them the medications, and then I kind of transfer that delivery of care over to the next person. Yeah, so help me understand your question.
I just want to know.
I'm sorry, I got a phone call. Dr. D? Mm-hmm. Okay, give me 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, sure. We've got about 5 minutes. Sure. Yeah.
What does a new person on this unit working here need to know about how to be an effective team member?
Yeah, I think that's really dependent upon your role. Are you asking like from my role as a doctor or for your role as an LCAT?
An LCAT, a team member.
Yeah, I think that particularly for the unit and the population that we're serving, it's like how do we show up at work every day? Yeah, I think that's a question that you've got to begin to ask and figure out on your own for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just asking different people on the team because I'm curious. I'm really curious about how the team works, and also just really admiring. I see how hard everybody's working, and I see you've been here for 15 years, which feels to me like, this work matters to you on a deep level, and I want to learn from you. Actually, I want to learn how to do it. I'd like to be a lifelong employee. This work matters to me. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time.
Of course,
for me.
yeah. Report back to me. I'll take those for you. Thank you. I've got the trash can here. But report back to me on what everybody says.
Okay.
I think I'd like to know that. Thanks so much, Alex.
All right. So what did we see different this time around? What did Maria, as the role of Alex, do? In the role of Alex, do? Yeah. Doing this.
She was a lot more assertive, I thought, than previously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she kind of caught on to, she was a little sarcastic. And I feel that that was effective, though.
Yeah.
Just for her own sanity also, for herself in this situation, yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of more assertiveness and also maybe use of like sarcasm and a little bit of like catharsis happened in that moment for her when she could use that humor. Yeah. How did that change the outcome of what you saw? How did that change the outcome of the scene?
So I want second. Yeah, there was a connection, and he responded in the way he could. Yeah, yeah.
To what extent do you feel that helped her reach the ultimate goal, which was a problem that we identified? To what extent does that resolve the problem that we identified in the beginning of our discussion?
So the burnout, I don't think it resolves anything, but I think that it was a step towards connection, and that's what she was so desperately craving. Okay, he didn't just blow her off. He was like, yeah. Still like totally discombobulated, but like, okay, yeah, I'd like to hear about that.
Yes, there was like a partial agreement, maybe that didn't exist earlier. Yeah. Okay, so what would be the next step to this then? If we got a little bit, what would be the next step? What could Alex do next?
I think the connection was wonderful, as Mary said, but I think coming in with a goal and asking...
Why don't you come and show us? Come. And your name is?
My name is Eli. Pronouns
Eli?
are he, him.
He, him. All right, Eli. And which moment do you feel you want to articulate that goal?
From the beginning.
The beginning of the scene? Yeah. All right. Could we set for the top? And you want to enroll, Eli?
Thank you.
3, 2, 1, action.
Knock, knock, knock.
Oh my God. Yeah, no. Okay, thank you, bye. Hi, is something wrong?
Dr. D. No, nothing is wrong. I'm Alex. I'm the new intern. Have we met in person?
No.
It's nice to meet you.
The intern for what?
For drama therapy. I'm a licensed creative arts therapist.
Wait, you're an intern or you're a licensed creative arts therapist?
I'm working towards licensed creative arts therapy.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for doing all the activities, for entertaining our patients.
Of course.
Really lovely. I'm just gonna
ask you a few questions about morning meeting.
Sure. I'm gonna work while we do this, if you don't mind. I've got a lot of notes to do.
That's okay. Right. Yeah, I totally get it.
I'm also gonna eat. I'm a multitasker.
I totally get that. Eating is so important.
I think. Okay, yeah.
So
how can I help
what is your understanding of morning meeting? What's the purpose of it? I'm having a hard time kind of figuring it out.
Morning meeting is really designed to just be a really quick connection for the team on what happened the previous night with our patients, so we know what to do or what to expect in the morning.
Okay.
No.
When you I'm sorry, when you say connection between the team, can you just explain that a little more? I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand that part.
Sure, no, it's like kind of a space where everybody gets the information that they need and they can go about their day to ensure that there's the safety for the unit and the safety for us as staff members is paramount.
So just to clarify, Dr. D, sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying that there's informational or it's connection.
It's informational.
There's no purpose of connection in morning meeting?
Not according to the standard of work.
Should there be?
I don't write the standard of work.
But in your opinion, I think you're the leader of the team. Should there be a point of connection? You had mentioned it earlier.
Alex?
Yes.
What's the point that you're trying to get to right now?
Well, I think
I've got a lot of work to do.
I get it.
And I really think that this feels like a conversation maybe for your supervisor to figure out what your role is in this team, not to tell me what my role is on the team.
Apologies if I came across that way. I actually asked him, and he might suggest that we have this conversation as I...
Well, maybe we should invite him into the conversation.
Yeah. I would love that. Can we schedule a time where the three of us, maybe the whole team, could meet to discuss?
We can schedule a time for the three of us to meet.
Okay, let's pause. Should we schedule a time for the team to meet? Yeah? Team meeting? Actors? All right, let's see the team meeting play out. Yeah, go. Team meeting.
Just to clarify, the full team?
Yeah, full team meeting. Would anybody like to give Eli a break and try a team mating advocacy? You want to keep going?
I can try.
Okay. If at any point we can ask the other like I said, sports arena, got to change. I'm seeing her sitting up. You can go when he's tired? Okay. So Monica, I'll have you come on stage. And your name and your pronouns for the camera.
My name is Alex. My name is Monica, and my pronouns are she, her.
All right, welcome, Monica. And this is a team meeting. This is a team meeting with the unit, the 12F unit, yeah?
Not a morning meeting, a team meeting about
This
morning
particular,
meeting.
yes.
Okay, got it. Great. Thank you for clarification.
Okay.
It is
it's
in
happening in person, yeah. Oh. Actors ready?
Actors ready.
Yeah. Audience ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1, action.
Dr. D,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming here today. I didn't even think you'd make it with your busy schedule, but
Sure.
I actually, I'm proud of myself for getting us here. So, yeah, would you have something to say? Do you want to share what's been going on and things that, some updates in the unit? Because we can actually make a connection now that you're off your phone and the computer.
What are you asking me?
I think what Alex is trying to say is that she's really interested in having more in-person meetings.
Yeah, no, we've already spoken about this.
And we're here right now to talk about it, aren't we? So we have 10 minutes of your time, and we got to get here in person.
Sure.
And so we were thinking maybe we could have a team building with the team because we are so disconnected. I mean, we don't even work together. We don't even know our names. Why don't we have a team building activity, an hour in a week? Because you know what?
What
Retention
Alex
sucks.
means. What
Because
Alex
retention
means.
sucks.
Hey, Matt. Can we let Alex speak?
Like based on retention,
I
people
think
leave
she's
every
speaking
year,
well
Dr.
enough.
D.
But I don't think that this is the place to do a team building exercise. We have patient care.
Yeah, I should really be
Now,
doing my
like,
job right now. We're
gotta take-
actually, what we're doing right now is taking me away from the patients.
Did we get Mr. Simmons his off-unit order so he?
I
can
can't
get a
because
CAT
we're
scan?
here right now.
All right, I've got to go
Fine.
get him
Dr.
his
D,
CAT
I'm
scan order.
saying
I'm
that we're
sorry,
gonna plan
I
it.
gotta go.
Matt.
See, why are we doing this right now? This is not productive for the patients. We should be with them right now, helping them.
Pause. If the actors on stage could make an image of what is coming up for you in this moment, what would that image look like? Okay, so a little bit of image theater in here. Okay, an image of what's actually happening for you inside if you could externalize it. All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you could exaggerate this image a little bit more, what would that look like? Okay. And if these images had internal monologues of what's actually happening, what would be the monologue here?
This is a waste of my time. I should be doing my job right now. I should be helping the patients.
I want to help, but I don't know how. I want to help, but I don't know
It's a waste of my time. We really aren't helping our patients by just talking to
poor
them.
girl. I don't
How is this
understand.
helping? I just wanted the
Pause.
medication. 'cause why-
Freeze. Spectators, is there anybody who's wanting to try and replace Alex, to try a different form of intervention, a different kind? Yes. And unfreeze. Thank you, actors. And thank you, Monica. And your name and pronouns.
My name is Zenaida. And she, her, you know.
All right. And you want this moment or a different moment?
I guess no, this one.
This
is
one?
fine.
Okay.
This is okay.
All right. You know the drill. 3, 2, 1, action.
Okay, hi, everyone. Dr. D, I asked for us to have this conversation, and because I'm new to the hospital.
Welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Provide a valuable service for our patients.
Thank you. However, because of the fact that we're having these meetings online, I'm having I'm just concerned that we're not really able to communicate with each other
well enough to really help the patients out when we are here together on the unit. I feel like we have information, each of us has information about the patients that we're not discussing in the meetings. Now, if I understand that nursing has to do...
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff to do right now. It's kind of just taking up a lot of time.
I understand that you have to do the morning report, and morning report is basically, just a quick snapshot of what is happening the night before. But maybe, we have these other meetings online, and it just feels very disconnected, not informative enough.
Alex.
Yes.
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to ask that you read the patient chart, okay? It has the information that you need to do the job, right? You run the groups, you run the activities. We have our care plan documentation inside of it, and that we gather as a team to talk and share the information that you're asking about, which is separate from morning meeting. But in the documentation is where we pull all of our goals and all of the things, right, Ramon?
Well, I noticed in the morning report that things that happened the night before that I actually saw, and that I actually have informed nursing staff of, is not put in the report for the next day.
Yes,
and sometimes it's important information, and information that you guys are aware of. But and then the patients come to the groups.
I'm gonna stop you there.
Well, hold on one moment.
Yeah.
One moment, because I would like to finish my thought. Because, sometimes I forget things, so hold on.
Sure. What I'm going to ask you to do is make sure that we're not attacking other departments.
Yes, I feel
our nurses are here 24/7.
I'm just saying, I just wanted to say something that I feel like the notes that we're doing are all very, very important. I should be doing them right now. You should be doing them too. So if you didn't document anything on your notes, I don't know what to tell you. That should be in there.
Yeah, Matt, don't you have a clinical occurrence note? If there's a clinical occurrence note, shouldn't you, as a supervisor, be educating your staff member on writing the clinical occurrence note in the chart?
We are both doing that, and also Alex is worried about the community here that is almost non-existent. So
we have community meeting. You're running community meetings, right?
We run community meeting, but you guys don't come. So there are questions that the patients have about medication or about discharge planning. And really, I don't feel that it's appropriate. I don't know if you do, but I don't feel that it's appropriate for us to tell the patients, certain information about medicine.
If I'm in the community meeting, who's administering the medication? Who is doing all that work?
But you're not the only nurse.
So you expect all the nurses to be in this meeting?
No, just one person. Someone who's, they can rotate.
Mickey,
That's how we did it at my other job.
I think this is really great. I think this is really great. Thank you for helping us understand that a portion of our programming is not being met. Do you remember about 10 years ago, everybody showed up at community meeting?
Yeah.
So maybe the thing that we begin to take a look at, right, is how do we create a rotating schedule that at least allows another staff member there?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be everybody, at least one person from each discipline. It doesn't have to be everybody that goes, on a rotating basis. Because you know what? I want to be successful here. I want to be successful. I want to do a good job.
Yeah.
And the communication is just not there for me at this point in comparison to where I've been. And I think that this place could be really, really super. I think that we could do great things here, not just, mediocre like other places. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. But as I said, I'm new here, and even though I have a lot of experience from the past, but I'm new, and I just, I felt that it was important for me to share my thoughts with you.
Yeah.
And thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you. What do we see this time around? What did Zenaida try that was different? What did you see?
Well, I think she was a little more confrontational, but it got the job done. She got a little movement. So, everything maybe doesn't have to be, it's okay. It's okay for a little bit of confrontation as long as it's productive. That's what I saw.
So a little bit of confrontation. How many of us feel like this little bit of confrontation is going to result in these community meetings that Zenaida has proposed? That it's actually going to happen on ground regularly? Yeah. No? No? Why? Why not?
I think a big reason was just even the beginning of the conversation. It felt like it was targeted towards the doctor as opposed to...
So what else could have happened in that moment?
I think just...
Why don't you come and show us? Come.
I had a feeling.
Okay. And your name and pronouns?
Naneth. She, her pronouns.
All right. And the same scene?
Yeah.
Or a moment, okay, same scene.
Same scene.
All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Good morning.
Hi. How's it going? How are we feeling today?
I'm fine, I guess.
Fine. Traffic was the worst.
Traffic was the worst. I'm so sorry about that. I hope it gets better in the evening.
It's New York. What are you going to do?
Yes, this is very true.
Well, I want to not take too much of your time. Thank you. Very considerate of the fact that I understand.
Really appreciate that.
I'm very considerate of the fact that we have to get back to our patients, right? And we have to get back to the work and everything. But I would want to just spend some time maybe thinking, I know that morning rounds can be a lot, where there's a lot to process, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of things that the nurses do that is just a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take maybe some consideration, some time to see if we can maybe allot, if it even is 15 minutes, perhaps in a week or so, to just have a gathering of the staff, whether that is... perhaps some of the nurses that are on the shift just come and get some donuts. There's some music. There's some sense of interaction. Doc, I know you're very busy and you have lots of snacks. I would love to give you some more snacks. Yeah, I know. I saw you had lots of snacks. Yeah. And I'm very considerate of the fact that we have limited time, right? And we need to get things done and we need to go about the day. So I just want to, I guess I'm very new. And my sense is that if we are able to foster a strong sense of community with each other, then that can be modeled to the clients, right? That can be modeled back to the patients. So when they go back to their communities, they can feel a sense of connectivity. So even if it's 15 minutes, I'll bring the donuts, I'll bring the coffee, I'll bring the music, I'll bring the energy. But I would just love 15 minutes of your time next week, if that's possible.
We all have different schedules. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how we're going to coordinate something where everyone can get together and we all have our different things we're doing. I don't know how that's going to get coordinated.
Sure. Even if it's 15 minutes of your own time and it's allotted differently, I'm okay with that. Even if we get 1 or 2 people to come.
And you're going to bring donuts?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Please,
sorry.
doctor.
Go ahead,
No,
Ramon. Ramon, it's all you.
Thank you.
I that sounds like a great idea, but I know there's a lot of dietary restrictions on the unit, and so and gluten free. If there's
I'm vegan,
cross contamination, people can get really sick.
Great. No, that's a good thing to consider. How about I at least leave a list behind the nurses station, and then I leave one perhaps in the staff lounge, and that way there's just preferred snacks, and I can take that in consideration in the sense of any dietary restrictions that there may be.
I feel a bit uncomfortable with you spending out of your own pockets. I'm kind of can we have a budget for this?
Okay, that's a good.
I don't know why you're looking at me. It's your employee.
I
I don't have the budget.
If you want to offer it, you can offer it.
Who has the budget?
I'm a nurse, so I don't know.
Should I perhaps tap in staff wellness and see if that's
I think they
are
already
able
know.
to, yeah.
They have a budget.
Staff wellness.
We are here.
Thank you so much for coming. Yes, I love it. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh my
Gosh.
Did ring.
What are we doing? Oh my gosh, this is so fun. But everyone's here in person. Oh my god. I was hoping to find some time within our unit to just bring some connectivity to it. And in the sense of just perhaps bringing some refreshments or some, snacks, so that way the staff can kind of participate in that and feel connected in those 15 minutes that they have allotted to their time.
Connected in those 15 minutes that they have allotted in their time.
Yes.
We could probably put it in our event calendar.
Yeah. What is there, like, perhaps an event calendar that is also connected to perhaps some, monetary or, financial?
Like a budget?
Yeah.
You're the head of wellness, Mary. We've been working on this. This is something that we've been exploring, and, we've been trying to do what we can with what we have. So we don't have that much. So we're doing yoga, we're doing the Zen room, we have pillows.
Mindful meditation.
We have breathing. We can all breathe. Let's take a deep breath right now. Let's all, everyone, come on, everyone, deep breath. Let it go. And don't we feel better? Yeah, we feel better.
Breathing is for free.
Yeah, this breathing is for free. All right, and pause. What did we see happen this time? What did Nanette attempt this time around as Alex?
Yeah.
And does anybody have anything? We have a time for one last intervention. Anything that they feel, yes.
That's fair.
Come on, Heidi. And thank you, Nanette. Thank you, Nanette.
Hope you should get that out.
Same scene?
Kimmy, not the wellness people.
Not the wellness people. But the same scene. Same scene.
Okay.
All right.
I don't have any more snacks.
And just for fun, if anybody else wants to step into the scene as any other character, we have another mic. Do we have another mic? Floating mic? Do we? No?
Pretty good.
Yes? Want to step on? Come on. Maybe you and your co-ally can share.
I'm out.
Oh, different.
It was a pleasure.
Oh, also, you want to give the
Yeah.
tag?
As Matt. You want to be as Matt? That's great.
We have a new supervisor. And your name.
Oh, my name is Bonnie. My pronouns are she and me and
her.
Great. All right, actors ready?
All right.
Okay, audience ready? Last intervention. Okay, 3, 2, 1, action.
Thank you all so much for coming. I wanted to just check in with you because I heard you say something before about activities. And it occurred to me that maybe we don't know what LCATs do. And I'm a licensed creative arts therapist. I'm actually a drama therapist. And one of the things that we do is not just activities, but it's actually really working in a therapeutic way, doing therapy. But one of the things we do really well is connect people. And we do it in action. And so I know we only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to, with your permission, with everybody's permission, I want to do something a little bit nuts. Is that okay? It depends, but yeah.
I got 5 minutes.
Stand up. This is stand up.
Oh my God.
Because we work in action, and it takes a minute, and one of the things that I know is when we work in action, we connect with each other.
Okay.
And if we connect, then our patients connect.
Okay.
And so if we connect and get to know each other a little bit, it trickles down, right? I know you've been, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You've been doing this longer than me, so you want to think. Okay. It trickles down.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little nervous, but we learned in school that we have to actually tell people what we do because a lot of people don't understand. And so one of the things we do, you guys are standing up, that's awesome, is just find ways that we connect. And so we have this thing called sociometry that's actually about connecting with each other and finding ways that we that we connect that maybe we don't connect. And it's something that we not only can do now, but that we can take to all of our patients.
Sure, and regardless of diagnostic criteria?
Yes, regardless of diagnostic criteria. Because really what we're doing is creating community, and it trickles down.
Yeah, but one of the negative side effects of, or like the main piece of schizophrenia, right, is that kind of avolition piece, that inability to kind of motivate or connect, right?
Yeah. And so that's what we're working on here. So we're not actually stepping into anything else except something that we connect to. So here's an example. Here's like a really easy game that you could play with like anybody at all. And I think it's really important that we do it too.
Okay.
So all that's going to happen is I'm just going to say, step in here and I'm going to say something like, who like me really likes dogs? And if you like dogs too, you're going to step, oh my gosh, are we really doing this right now? I love dogs.
I like a dog, yeah.
So,
Mickey, you have a dog.
I know I do. Okay, I have a dog. What's your dog's name? Sparkles. What kind of dog is it? Oh, a little beagle. A beagle? Yeah. I have a beagle. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh. I totally have a beagle. Okay. That's so cool. I didn't even know that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're really cute. Yeah. So, like, that's it. So just, like, talk about it, step back. So, like, and then somebody else, like, steps in and says something that's true about them. That's it. Yeah. So what's something you could say? I mean, who likes snacks is like, oh, wait, I've got one. Who like me likes snacks? Oh my gosh.
Did you like a snack?
Love a snack.
You know, this is really fun, but I know I have a lot of things I have to do. I have medication to give it. We have patients that are in really a lot of need right now, and I'm just wondering what this has to do with like really like my job.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like we're actually done.
Wow, great.
But wait a second. Like I would love later on to hear more about your beagle because I want to see like how our beagles connect. But more importantly, now it's just that like now we know each other a little bit more, so I feel like more comfortable with you.
I don't think that's my job.
And so that's going to make me feel better when I see you come into my groups. You know, all the times you kind of come into my groups and grab patients out in the middle.
Yeah, because I have a lot to do. I have so much to do.
But so now I know you and I feel more comfortable because usually I'm kind of like, stop. And then you get mad at me and then the patients see that. And then the patients see that and then we're arguing and they feel not taken care of. But now I feel connected to you. And so when you come in, I know who you are. And I will always think about your beagle.
So
that's it.
Okay, great.
If I may, I just want to say, Alex, I think that's the crux of things. And thank you for that. Because connection seems to be what we're missing. And it is, I guess it's hard. I've been a supervisor here a long time, and it's, you know, remembering a lot of things that have happened and being a witness very often to things that have been happening. You know, I just want to say, I know that it's hard to sit down and meet, but that's why, you know, we take time to get to know each other. And Dr. D, I know I was there the day that you were attacked and your head was smashed into the floor. Many times by a patient.
Why is this getting worse?
It's actually very traumatic, and I can imagine that it's hard to be here a lot. And Carlos, I know that you work 2 jobs. I know that you're trying to work all day, and then you go and you do calls at night, social work, to try to just, you know, make ends meet. And
yeah, I don't like to brag.
I know that that's really hard, and you're probably exhausted. And, you know, I know that from getting to know you all this time and talking to you. And I know how hard nursing, you know, has to deal with things. And I know a lot of things that have gone on here and times where you have had to do some things that were very difficult and that you have been there for us and helped us. And we just want to do the same for you. So, you know, I think we need to notice each other and witness each other and be there for each other. And I think eating together is wonderful. And it's a thing that we should try to do more of and that we used to do. But I think we're therapists, so we have to remember, you know, the people that we work with are people too, human beings. And I think that we need to make sure that we're also understanding where they're coming from. At least that's what I think I would like to try to do. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah, y'all, thanks so much for doing this.
This was really nice. Yeah.
Okay, see you next week.
Yeah, bye.
At the same time?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. We did it.
Thank you. Oh, wait. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Bonnie. All right. Snaps for all the spectators who came on. So we saw a range of interventions in the last half hour, right? Some
some trying assertiveness, some trying humor, some trying really personally connecting, some tried empathizing, some tried action moves like saying, hey, we'll do 15-minute slots, we'll do 10-minute slots, we'll do community meetings, we'll do these like snack breaks. Which of these feels like the next step forward for each of you to get to that larger problem that we spoke about in the beginning, right? That exhaustion, that burnout, that feeling like that integration is not there, and that sense of isolation that occurs. Turn to the partner you spoke to at the beginning of your discussion today and share with them one thing that feels that you can actually do on Monday when you get to work. Because I know many of us here are clinicians. What is something that feels doable in your capacities, yeah? So turn to the person next to you.
Hi, everybody. So we're ready for the talk back right now. My name is Clara Zhang. I'm from NYU Drama Therapy. I'm currently a second year, and I'm a student discussant today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daisy Cai. I'm a Chinese woman, international student here at NYU Drama Therapy program, currently first year.
And I'm Maria Podomarska. I'm a faculty member in the program. I use she, her pronouns.
Nisha Sishnani, I use she, her pronouns, and I didn't describe myself earlier, but I'm wearing a rust-colored sweater and black pants, and I have the pleasure of directing this program here at NYU Drama Therapy. And I know our ensemble introduced themselves in the beginning, but just so we can remind our audience, can we just go down and repeat names?
Christina, she, her.
Ofer, he, him. Sean Paul, he, him.
Sabrina, she, her. Taylor, she, her. Liz, she, her. Akila, she, her.
So I'm going to start off with the question today. So I guess my first question is, during the whole process of creating this performance, what was therapeutic for you personally?
And
for me, it was just really nice to have a space where we talk about this stuff because, like, you know, it's something that sometimes I think a lot of us are experiencing every day, and that like kind of we just like hold it in sometimes. So it was nice to externalize it.
Yeah, I think there was one moment where we were drafting the script, and the very idea of what we were trying to work on was the idea, like our need was to find community and find humanity. And the very essence of what we were doing was finding the connection and finding the humanity within each other. So maybe not necessarily within the workplace, but like finding what are those areas where we can like connect and be human again.
And we also saw that in the interventions, how it started off with the singular person, and then the idea of the meeting was suggested, and an idea of another spectator stepping in. So in the spectator interventions as well, there was like a growing of a community, which is also like one of the eventual goals of TO is community organizing. You know, how do you organize community within these stringent, strict systems? How do you look at the system in a new creative way? And it was, I found the like therapeutic angle in the interventions. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the second question. I know, Sabrina, you mentioned that you were at work and this is what you experienced. So I'm really curious about the sort of the live drama connection. So what's a great moment of connection that you experienced at work? Maybe recently, maybe just throughout your trip.
A moment of connection. I have a lot of wonderful moments with the patients, actually. There's some beautiful moments that happen there. I have a wonderful intern. Hi, she's here. I really value those moments, connecting with people who kind of have a similar lens as I do. Even joking with like some of the treatment team is a light moment within it all. I don't know. Do you have any?
You like in the meeting?
Yeah, like because we're doing this together. I don't know.
I think one of the things that I focus on a lot in my work in a space that feels so sterile and clinical is how, sterile and clinical, and the space of, to me, what the idea of therapy is trust and relationship. And what are the first two things that typically get taken out or taken from our participants is the ability to trust us and build relationship. They are most often against their will. So in what moments can we queer that space? Can we come together and queer the space? And I remember I work on a very different unit than Sabrina does. Yeah. So I have a little bit more time. But I think one of the things that one of my biggest kind of moments is we had an individual who came on to our unit who was about 19 and clinically was really quite disorganized, would really slip into very much kind of like a baby role and needed to be held and needed to be like babied and like would like walk with people all the time and like would try and like leave the unit a lot. And so one of the things that I thought about was like on our team, a lot of it was like, what do we do with her? What do we do with her? And I was like, well, to me, a lot of this reads as attachment, right? How do we really begin to become that stable base for this individual in a space that feels so unstable? That's a word, right? And so I was like, well, let's play. There's a big red line on our floor that says, do not cross. You cannot cross this line. And so how do we play with that line? This idea of like, this is something that is demarcated on the floor here that I get to leave and I get to go beyond. So how do we build relationship around the idea of I leave, you stay, right? You're like, and what does that mean? How do we like angle in attachment to those pieces? So we started creating this nightly ritual. Every time I would leave, this was a nightly ritual that we would jump back and forth up between the line. That became a dance, and then it evolved into this like secret handshake, right? And then what we found was that this started to really begin to like stabilize her just a bit, right? And it allowed her to trust the team a little bit more, trust me a little bit more, to talk more openly about what was happening in her internal world, right? And then from there, all those pieces kind of began to fall into play. So, yeah.
And also a life drama connection that happened on the stage. My actual supervisor played the role of the supervisor, and it was really interesting as the Joker to notice seeing somebody from work actually played out and the choices that were made. That was a life drama connection, because I don't know if I had seen those choices ever play out in actual supervision. So just to have that played out on stage was such a beautiful moment where the work day of today got to be transformed and reimagined within the rehearsal space of the forum. So it was really good to have you, Bonnie, come on stage and do that. And just like in general, the spectacular interventions are a huge part of that life drama connection, because you are helping us, all of us who are all clinicians, like relate to something and connect to something and give us some sense of hope.
I have a question for you, Akila. And it's, I was reminded of it when Heidi had everybody do a little sociometry. But you actually used Forum Theater at a clinical internship that you were at and had weekly meetings with groups, and you ended up doing your thesis about it. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that research? Like, this isn't just pretend here.
Yeah.
You actually did it.
Yeah. A lot of the need for this forum came from what I experienced as an intern. And all of us, how many of us are interns here currently working within the system in some way? Yeah. Claps to all of us, because, you know, doing this kind of work unpaid in these settings when you have I had no context of the American medical model at all, and kind of going in as somebody who loved the arts and loved drama, and being in the space where power hierarchies are so delineated that I felt so out of my own body. The only way I could cope was to create Forum. I didn't know how else to understand the work and to understand myself. So the theater as revolution became like a coping tool for me to understand, unless I feel I can do something to change it, there's no way I'm going to continue to do this work. It's that I can't go to bed at night with that feeling. So I did about a 10-week group with patients and clinicians who created short forum theater scenes. I call the group Power Play. And I have some fellow facilitators who are in that group here in the audience. Hi, Danny. Hi, Matt. They were both co-facilitators with me in the space, and we invited clinicians and patients to create these like short forum theater scenes about issues that had happened that day on the unit. and then clinicians would step into the role of patient, and patient would step into the role of the clinician, and we would do spectacular interventions with the door open. So like nursing would come and be like, hey, I've seen this. I was like, great, nursing staff, come on in, and why don't you replace this, like this actor? And we kind of, and I believe that group is still running on the unit. Yeah, there we go. So that was, yeah. Sorry? It still is? Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, thumbs up, both thumbs up. Yeah, it just started running. So yeah, it came about. And so, yeah, I guess Forum is not just something, and maybe Liz, you can speak to this, like speak to this as well. Forum is not just something you come in a black box theater on stage to see. It happens in the space, in the community where the problem is occurring. So this feeling that we're holding on, like the script comes out from that real, very real life experience. And I don't know if you have experience with sharing more to that.
I mean, just that you really can and should be able to do this work anywhere, right? Like you can take it to the streets. I've done this work inside of police barricades, outside of, the governor's office. I've done it, similarly inside of youth drop-in spaces where, again, young people are receiving services that they need and also having a lot of issues with the staff. And then the staff can see themselves in the antagonist, in the, passive bystander that's not using their privilege the way that they should, and then have these moments of catharsis, have these moments of realization that there is a lot of power to create change that we're not always using. And so, yeah, I'm excited to continue this discussion about how this can apply to the clinical setting, but perhaps even beyond.
Yeah. In drama therapy, we speak a lot about this idea of like personal catharsis. And we saw psychodrama last night that spoke about, again, this feeling of that the protagonist has a catharsis. And I love Bawal's reframing of that, is that it doesn't just stop at a personal catharsis. It has to become a social political catharsis, which means that if I feel totally relief and totally calm and totally okay, that doesn't stimulate me to try to want to change something. I need to be in that space of good confusion, like I mentioned earlier. I have to be a little bit uncomfortable so that I want to do something. And that's where the political catharsis is coming from. It's not a passive feeling. It's a very active feeling, And
your comment, I think, is in parallel with the dramaturgy of the play, right? Because we have Alex coming in talking about loneliness, and then Dr. D is talking about that as an individual crisis that needs to be managed by self-care versus acknowledging that community care is part of the solution. And so I think Forum kind of exists in that same place where we're looking at the system, right? So thank you for that.
It's a structure that allows us to look at the system and act on that system. There is no self-care without social care. That was really so present in this piece, and this particular approach allows us to grapple and reimagine that collectively. And that was also there's such when I think about your question about what was therapeutic, it's the way in which you activated all of us from the beginning into a game space to be able to reimagine the realities that we're operating within and what so easily passes that as care, but which is so falling short of that care that we seek to provide for ourselves and for each other. I did have I had a thought around, the ways in which we think about forum theater and any of the approaches that we've been exploring in this series. There is a common thread around what happens in this fictional space is ideally going to travel out of that space. You spoke to it as well. It doesn't stay in this theater. It agitates us enough to be able to, to ideally be able to maneuver some new way of thinking or behaving or relating out there in the world. And we don't often spend time in this method thinking about what the actors are experiencing. And so I really appreciated your question, which feels more drama therapeutic in terms of how does this change you? And I appreciated the question open to the audience as to how does it change us? What might we do differently? I guess I'm wondering about from your perspective, to what degree do you see this as part of the revolution in how we reimagine health and health systems? What do we need in order to do more of this? Because I want to take the invitation seriously, I guess, in terms of how we think about community organizing and ways of reimagining healthcare and mental health care in particular outside of this space. And this script has emerged from a very real community that was very activated around this scene. You could feel it, you could hear it. These are realities. So what's needed?
Yeah, I know how it's going.
We have to bring you.
Look at the spectators in the debrief.
yeah.
Yes.
No, I just, I saw such disrespect for time together as people and art therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing you ask that question, I am like, well, we're in a culture that was, we saw that reinforced so much disrespect for connection and art as a form of community. And I'm a parent, and I'm just like insulted at the level of disrespect towards the arts in the school system. Like the underfunding, some schools, something I learned as I was trying to figure out what schools to send my kid to was like seeing that some public schools will put out a report, and the report literally shows like, these schools, do they have any full-time art teachers? Or are programs just provided by nonprofits? Or like something less? And so a starter question is maybe like looking within the field, building the connections within the field, but then also looking like, where is this starting and reproduced, and like culturally, how do we fortify arts as something everybody has access to? And that's, for me, that goes as a passion beyond schools, affordable arts, beyond places than just downtown and midtowns. But that's my starter response.
Yeah. Hi. So thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been so interesting to see this side of things. I work at Kings County too. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I'm a fine cook. And I'm a team leader, and I'm so busy every day. I get 5 minutes with the patients, and then so much of the time I'm doing notes, writing orders, checking labs and studies and all this other stuff. And I get really envious of the LCATs because you guys get to spend so much time with the patients, and that's just not. And I've been talking to people about it lately. It's really bothering me. I just wanted to tell you that. Like, I admire you, and I think your work is so important. And you get to do some stuff that we don't get to do. So that's what I thought. And can I just say one more thing? Is that okay? I don't want to be like a time log. So I just did this, all right, let me make this quick. I run a medication group at the hospital, which is one time where I really get to be with the patients, and I do a survey, like, do they know what their diagnosis is? Do they know what their medications are? What do they treat? What happens when you don't take your medication? And then I have these fake medicine bottles, like with M&Ms in them to represent pills, and I write fake prescriptions, and I give them a med box, and read your prescriptions, and let's see how you pack your meds. And that's great. They love the group. Then after this drama therapy training, a psychodrama training thing I did today, I had this amazing idea. I decided on my next medication group, I'm going to go in the bigger room, and I'm going to ask each of the patients to make a sound and a movement towards their diagnosis. And I'm going to ask them to make a sound and a movement about medication, and then go bigger and bigger. Like, what do you think of the hospital? Felt in this during your sickness. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm so excited.
So I guess it works, Akila. And
yeah,
it sounds like we've agitated in PKO enough to.
Yes. We have a question here.
So I've been fortunate to do this work once before, and what I discovered in the work is I didn't think I was so conditioned. and actually bringing it. But I did. I found in all these moments where I was part of the system, but I didn't think I was. Now, it can be deeply embarrassing, humbling, but enlightening. And I was just wondering if anyone, through your experience, had a moment that you would be comfortable sharing, because that's what I find too, is that the work that you gain from doing the work, not just get food.
I mean, I wasn't, well, I was a little bit in the rehearsal room with the actors, but I think just to your point, like, that's the crux of Theater of the Oppressed. Bilal talks about it as demechanization, that we are all mechanized to do these things, many of which are harmful to self, many of which uphold systems of oppression. They act upon us, we're acting upon others. And so that unlearning is for everyone, right? And so it makes sense, the shame, but also I think the liberation is what's on the other side of demechanization and finding new ways of being and finding new ways of reimagining. And this thing that you described of like, oh, like we just got to play out this afternoon and see the new version. And then that means that the next time something else is possible. So thank you for sharing that.
And a lot of us came from work into rehearsal spaces, and we would share, and the shame would be like, today I came from work here and my colleagues are here, and I have discussed that I did feel like I was complicit in something, and that has kept me feeling very uncomfortable and almost like an imposter tonight. But it's that idea of like that character of the imposter is in my Joker, and that's what makes this real. That's what makes it possible. And now I have so many ideas that I didn't have earlier.
And as it qualifies you to be that difficultator. Like that's the expertise.
There's also a beauty in the idea. I know for me during this process, as a white male that exists in America, I do not like tension and I do not like struggle. Like I get to like right past it because of the way that I look. And I think one of the things that I remember Akila talking about in the process was like, you want your body to live in the tension. Like that is literally the point of us moving through these rehearsals. And then when we ask the spectators to join, right, when we start agitating them at the beginning, or when Akila starts agitating them at the beginning, like how then when you all join with us, do we also begin to push that lever for the tension living inside of you all as well? So I think one of the things that maybe answers your question is like, for me, right, it is settling into the tension, not trying to kind of bypass it, but like exploring those moments of tension and recognizing that, yes, there is a lot of shame in that tension, but like, and also where did I learn the shame of that tension? And what is it preventing me from moving beyond with it? And right, and then back to our earlier piece, how does that help me create trust and relationship in my work with my participants? So I think that's a really important part. That's it. Behind you.
Hello. I'm Nancy. I'm an LCAT. I just wanted to thank you guys because I feel very seen and heard. It's a weird experience to sit here and like feel the agitation for Alex's character and be like, why isn't she doing this? Why isn't she doing that? I'm just like, but that's me. Why am I not doing that? So I think it's just so interesting to sit here and watch that. So I didn't know what to expect tonight, but I feel like I watched part of like my own life in a way. So thank you for, it's going to give me ideas, going to wake me up a little bit, and thank you.
I'm struggling with feeling and I'm being like, should I share or not? But I will. I'm thinking a lot about what we saw in Alex being the young intern and then Dr. D being someone who's on the unit for 15 years. And I have these memories coming up of me at my first year of work when I was 23, and a room full of social workers who were who had their 25 or 30 years of work already done, and being so burnt out, and me coming enthusiastically and being like, oh, but we should do this, and we should do this. And they're like, it's just too much. And me thinking, oh my God, these people do not care. How could they do this work? This is terrible. And now sitting here and being like, is she too enthusiastic? Maybe it was too much for a doctor who's not as enthusiastic. So I'm just like, I guess, just sharing that I'm struggling with this feeling that I'm now, I guess, starting to see the other side as well. And thinking from just like, because I don't know anything about forum theater of the oppressed, is there a way for a protagonist to be, let's say, Dr. D, and then people coming in as the doctor? Would that also be an option within the forum?
You want me to answer that? Okay. So, yeah, part of the crux of forum is that we are looking at the problem, focusing on the problem of the person facing the oppression. And so is there a world in which Dr. D is also being enacted upon by the system? I'm sure Dr. D has supervisors and all of that. And so maybe in that scenario, we might step in for Dr. D. But in the dramaturgy that this group created, it's really critical that we focus on Alex, who has the need that we're following and the need that's being unmet. And, you know, to use that same dramaturgy and then just say like, yeah, let's imagine what a different Dr. D might look like, might apply for drama therapy, and you can speak to the ways that you're shifting it. But in like forum theater at its sort of like original recipe version, that's sort of like magic, right? Like the oppressor doesn't want to change, the antagonist doesn't want to change, so why would we just use a magic wand to have that happen? And yet I think people...
Yeah,
like
having
Akila.
said that, when I did the forum group on the unit, patients said the same thing. Like, I know that the protagonist is a patient, but I want to replace the doctor. And we saw it happen today as well when the last spectator replaced the supervisor. Yeah, if there is an act hunger, if there is a moment of like, I really want to be the doctor, you know, that is a clinical choice that you make at that moment, and you say, great, come. Replace, some people have catharsis when they play the antagonist-like characters. Go for it.
I'll just say in one scenario where I was leading a forum theater team in Montreal with women who had lived through both racism as they went out to seek out jobs and domestic violence at home or intimate partner violence. It was really important for them to actually replace, when we were workshopping, replace the oppressor in the scene, whether it was the potential boss who was not giving them a chance, or it was their partner at home. And it was so that they could better demonstrate what this person was really like. And audiences would interact in ways to say, actually, let me show you more of what it's really like. And it would become less caricature-like and subtle in ways that was really very evocative and allowed the audience to resonate even more with the scene, because they could see more of the reality with the subtle mixed messages, that sort of thing. The other thing I just wanted to speak to very briefly was the many allies here that, I mean, I felt like had you days and days to workshop with us. Of course, there are so many other potentialities here in terms of who we could interact with, not only Alex, but I was thinking, I myself was getting sort of warmed up to stepping onto the stage to interact with the supervisor of 15 years who has sort of settled into sort of like the mechanism of the system, right? So like, you'll get used to it too. And how do you activate the allyship there anyway?
I think I'm just sitting with having been activated and laying out my anger in stage when I can't do it at work was very helpful and cathartic for me. But I'm thinking about the question, I'm asking the actors who are also doing this at work, how else can we expand this, bring it to healthcare and in our spaces? And I wish I invited my coworkers, I invited doctors, to see this, because if they did, then they would, then they could have that shift. And my wish is that we could have this again. Or if you have ideas on how we can do more of these, because it should be done more. Yes. No. Any ideas and, I don't know, future plans for those who want to follow or?
I'll just mention that, health equity is sort of a, when I do my forum theater work, while I touch a lot of issues, I keep coming back to this health equity space, and I think it's a lot because of my parents being clinicians. And so I've been experimenting with my mother this idea of using modalities like this in staff hiring, like just from jump, like how will this clinician solve problems? I know she's gonna be like, we're supposed to copyright that stuff before you talk about it in public. Sorry, Mom.
Trademarks?
Yeah, trademarks. And also, how do you like, I mean, there's going to be some staff training at some point in the cycle of a year, and how can this be a part of that as well? So like hiring and training, trying to like force your way in is what I've been dreaming of.
Yeah.
Somebody fund my project.
Yeah.
I think you ask a really excellent question. And I think one of the things, a long answer, one of the things that we have to recognize and hold this tension is like our field is still very new, and it is still very misunderstood within the healthcare space, and largely only exists in New York City, right? So we're holding multiple different pieces that we don't quite have the opportunity to like shift or change. And also, what does that mean? It means that we have to make the work far more immediate in our own work, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean for you all? What does that mean for me? Get into a position of power, right? Where you go, I can make this happen. As a drama therapist, you're the lens through which you view the world, the training that you have, but it really gives you that opportunity to move into a space, maybe that clinical work, that day-to-day work on an inpatient unit is really not for you, right? I found that living in that tension and the removal of my own space of power, again, looking at the way that I look, was really hard for me to do. So I went into a leadership position. And so how do we exactly do this very thing that you're talking about, bring those pieces in before they even come into the space, right? How do we involve pieces of drama therapy so that when we do a drama therapy thing, they're like, oh, this feels familiar, right? So the work starts smaller and builds much longer. And if you all are here and you paid for your education through student loans, some of you all have 10 years. And lots of public healthcare spaces to exist in that then will get forgiven. So like, at least that's the way that I am finding my way in and through it is like, all right, cool. Like I've got 10 years to do this particular thing. And even if that means that I shift it a quarter of an inch, Moreno talks about this idea that right there is a adequate solution, right, to something that we've already done. Or I'm sorry, Heidi, I butchered it. Right? So how do we just shift a quarter of an inch and move it, right? Because then the next person who comes behind you shifts it a quarter of an inch, and then it moves it, and then we shift it a quarter of an inch, and then we move it. So, yeah. I don't know. There's a large piece of that.
I think both Liz and Sean have a very important point that like when you get into a position of power, you can do intervention. Having said that, I do feel TO is a mindset. It's, I mean, yes, it is an intervention and it's something, but like your capacity to see contradictions in the world, when you go out in the metro station and you feel that ick in your body, when you see that homeless person who is sitting there and you're like, God, I'm a clinician and I feel so icky, and can you sit in the anxiety of somebody else's otherness? That's the skill that TO is teaching us to do. So yes, it is like an intervention in healthcare and all of this stuff, but first and foremost, can you sit with that contradiction? Can you sit with that shame and that desire to be activated at the same time every day, whether you're a student in the classroom, whether you are a supervisor, because the minute you become complacent, that's when the magic of TO is dropped. If you can constantly be on your toes, you're living in the TO body. You're living in the body of the Joker, right? So can you internalize that little Joker in you? And no matter what you do, whether you're an LCAT, whether you're a supervisor, just it changes the way you look at the world. And it's a practice. It's a muscle you keep exercising. Like, I've been doing theater since I was 16 years old, and the way I look at the work today is like so different from how my angsty teenager looked at it, back in Delhi. But that idea of keep coming back to the work, keep going to spaces where you are confronted with an opposing point of view and sit in that dilemma and see what it does to your body. I promise you action will emerge from there.
Sure.
Really brilliantly said. I just wanted to also add that, like, you don't have to do a whole forum to build that muscle. Like, even some of those small games, the one that you created with the line, there are tons of games that you can play that will just strengthen that muscle. So if folks are looking for like practical ways of putting this in the work, even that image theater thing that you did for a moment, like, just do the smallest bit, right? Like, you don't have to get everyone on board to do a play with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for this great discussion. Can we have one last comment from the audience?
Just to this question about where it could go, I am also very curious about conferences as spaces where really doctors are there, right? Or like, what little scenelet could somebody propose that would be in some workshop or panel room that could get a conversation kicked off, right? And bring people together in those structured moments.
So one of the things that I have found is within health and hospitals, there is a really big push towards healthcare simulation and using healthcare simulation as a developmental tool rather than just an educational tool, and vice versa. But I think that there's a real beauty and this exists just outside of the idea of TO, but like drama therapy and healthcare simulation to me are the same thing. They're just, one is like, no, this is science. And I'm like, okay, you're playing with things, come on. But like, how do we begin to step into those spaces? And I call it queering the space, like other people call it a variety of different things, but yes. And I think one of the things that we have found, and Dana Trottier does this work, and Amanda Rothman does this work, and there's lots of people who are doing this work in those spaces, but how do we start in a space that begins to allow people's kind of creativity in these conferences, a yes and workshop, right? The idea of like, that we have all been in a staff meeting where we're like, oh my God, is this person ever going to fung up? And are they going to continue to talk about that? We need to paint this wall. Like, how do we begin to support them building that reflexive muscle of understanding, right? I'm so irritated in this moment rather than just letting it go. So yes, I think it's a yes and in these spaces, and also recognizing at the same time that those spaces and those communities already exist and we are entering their space. So how, right? It's our job, I think, to be able to shift and begin to move those and understand how do we meet them where they're at, right? And begin to support their development of their strengths, right? And then begin to be like, well, did you hear about this thing? It's called TO. You're already doing a yes and you want to try this, or like begin to support their ability to kind of live in their contradiction, right? And sometimes it's a struggle, but that tension and that struggle, I think, is productive in our own ways, and hopefully for them.
I know Daisy's about to wrap this up, but I stole the mic for a sec just to say that I had this really hopeful moment a few months ago where a colleague of mine who was at one of the World Health Organization offices was going to invite a group of healthcare providers and administrators and Ministry of Health representatives to come and learn about the role of artists as producers of health, the role of the arts in healthcare. And the one facilitator that they wanted to have come and represent or provide an experience for the room was a joker to provide a more theater scene. Because it had already traveled. I mean, the news had traveled that it's a powerful method, powerful approach to be able to sit with the complexity and unpack it together and to move towards new possibilities as a community. So I think it's happening, and I want to echo that yes and moment and just thank you, Attila, for leading.